multiplying 4n times 5n squared minus 7n minus 3. So we are using the distributive property. This is a monomial times a trinomial. 1 term times 3 terms. So that means you're going to distribute 3 times. So we're going to distribute 4n times 5n squared, which is going to be 20, and there's a 1n here and a 2 here, so we get n to the 3rd power. Okay? So 4n times negative 7n is going to be a negative 28n squared because you had 2 n's. 4n times negative 3 would be a negative 12n. And that problem is okay. For the second problem, we have 3a cubed times 8a plus b. So we are going to distribute 3a cubed times 8a. So 3 times 8 is 24. And we're going to add our exponents for a because they're the same variable. So that's a4. Now I'm going to distribute the 3a cubed times b. And that's going to give me 3. But those variables are not the same. So you just write both of them side by side. So we're going to have a cubed b. Okay, our next example is negative 3b times negative 8u squared minus 8uv minus 7v squared. So we're still going to use the distributive property. So we're going to have negative 3v times negative 8u squared. So negative 3 times a negative 8 is a positive 24. These variables are not the same, so we're just going to write the variables side by side. It doesn't really matter which ones comes first, however, you usually write them alphabetically. So what would I have? U squared v. All right, now we're going to distribute, and we're going to have negative 3v times negative 8uv. So I have negative 8 and negative 3, which gives me the positive 24. My u does not have any other variables to combine with, so I'm just going to bring down my u. But this time I have 2 v's, so I'm going to have v squared. Now I'm going to distribute to the negative 7v squared. So negative 7 and a negative 3 is a positive 21, and they're the same variable, so that would be v cubed. All right, so for this problem, we have a binomial times a binomial. We have n minus 7 times 3n plus 1. We are still going to use the distributive property, but this time we're going to distribute the n to each term inside of the second binomial and the negative 7 times each term inside the second binomial. So I'm going to say n times 3n gives me a 3n squared, because there's a 1n here and a 1n here. Now I say n times 1 gives me a 1n. You can write the 1 or you can leave it off. It doesn't matter. It will help you if you will draw the arrow so that you know you have distributed it to each term. So now I'm going to move to my 7, and I'm going to distribute the negative 7 times 3n. That's going to be a negative 21n. Negative 7 times 1 is going to be a negative 7. The final step is looking to see that you have combined like terms. So these middle terms usually are the ones you're going to combine. Okay, so we're going to leave our 3n squared. We have 1n minus 21n is a negative 20n, and bring down your negative 7. That's your final answer. Okay, there's another way that you can solve this. It's just a different way to set it up. This is called the box method. So I am going to draw a box, okay, and I'm going to put an x in the middle because I have a binomial by a binomial. So I have 2 columns and I have 2 rows. So I am going to put the first polynomial, it doesn't really matter if it's on top or if it's off to the side. I'm going to say n and a negative 7. It's kind of like Punnett squares. And then on the top, I'm going to have 3n plus 1. Now from there, we are going to multiply to fill in the empty spaces of the box. So for this first one, what are the two sides of that square? 3n and n. So that's going to be a 3n squared. Then I'm going to multiply the row times the column. So 1 times n is just 1n. I'm going to multiply the column times the row. So negative 7 times 3n is a negative 21n. And then finally, the last two is 1 times negative 7, which is negative 7. And you can see the numbers inside the box are the same thing that we got out here. So it's just whether you're more visual and want to see it inside the box, or if you like it more linear. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care which way you solve it. Now, from here, we still have to combine like terms. Your like terms are going to be diagonal from each other. Okay? So there's your like terms. They should, yes. So we have negative 21n and a positive 1n. So the first term is your 3n squared minus 20n, because we did the subtraction, and then minus 7. So you get the same answer no matter which way you do it. All right, for this example, we have a binomial times a trinomial. We are still doing the same process of using the distributive property. We're going to take the first term of the binomial times each term in the trinomial. So we have 6a times negative 2a squared gives us a negative 12a cubed. 6a times negative 4a is a negative 24a squared, because we had two a's. 6a times negative 8 is what? Negative 48a. We are done with the first term in the binomial. Now we're going to move to the second term in the binomial. Negative 6 times negative 2a squared is a positive 12a squared. Negative 6 times negative 4a is a positive 24a. And negative 6 times negative 8 is a positive 48. Now your final step is to find and combine your like terms. So there are no other cubes in this problem, so I'm just going to bring it down as part of my final answer. Now I'm going to cross it out so I know I've already used it. Now I have negative 24a squared and a 12a squared. So that gives me minus 12a squared. I'm going to cross them out because I know I've used them. Now I'm looking for my a term. I have a negative 48a and a positive 24a. So I'm left with negative 24a. I'm going to cross them out because I know I've used them. And I'm going to bring down my 48. All right, I'm going to do the same problem using the box method. So I'm going to draw myself a box. This time, I'm going to have a 2 by 3 box because I have a binomial times a trinomial. So the binomial is 6a minus 6, and the trinomial is negative 2a squared minus 4a minus 8. Now I'm going to fill in the boxes. 6a times a negative 2a squared is my negative 12a cubed. 6a times negative 4a is my negative 24a squared. 6a times negative 8 is a negative 48a. Now I'm going to go to the second row. Negative 6 times negative 2a squared is a positive 12a squared. Negative 6 times negative 4a is a positive 24a. And negative 6 times negative 8 is 48. Now we have to find our like terms. In the box method, your like terms are diagonal from each other. So here's my like terms for my a squareds, and here's my like terms for my a's. There's your first term, there's your last term. So I'm going to bring down the minus 12a cubed. I'm going to go ahead and subtract my a squareds, and I get a negative 12a squared. Subtract, and sometimes it's adding, it just depends, but we have a negative number. So we have negative 24a, and bring down the 48. Same answer, different method. So for this problem, we have a trinomial times a trinomial. We're still using the distributive property. I'm going to take the first term in the first polynomial, multiply it by the first term in the second polynomial. So negative 3m squared times 8m squared is going to be what? Negative 24m to the fourth. Now I'm going to take my negative 3m squared times 4mn is going to be a negative 12m cubed n. There were two m's here. There's one m here. So there's three m's. But still there's only one n. So now I'm going to have my negative 3m squared times n squared. And I have negative 3m squared n squared. I'm done with the first term. Oh. Now I'm going to move to the second term. And I have negative 2mn times 8m squared is negative 16m cubed n. 2mn times 4mn is going to be a negative 8m squared n squared. Negative 2mn times n squared is going to be a negative 2mn cubed.
You sit down.
Now I'm going to go to my third term. Negative 8n squared times 8m squared is going to give me, and I'm running out of room here, negative 64m squared n squared. Now I'm going to do my negative 8n squared times 4mn is going to give me, I'm going to, I guess, write it down here. That's going to give me a negative 32mn cubed. Negative 8n squared times n squared is going to give me a negative 8n to the fourth power. Now we have to combine our like terms. There is no other m to the fourth power. So I'm going to bring that down. Negative 24m to the fourth power. Is there any other terms that have m cubed in? Right here we have a negative 16m cubed n. So that's going to be a negative 28m cubed n. Crossing them out because I've used them. Now I'm looking for m squared n squared. And I have m, and I have three of them this time. Here we go. So I have negative 3 and a negative 8 gives me a negative 11. And a negative 64 gives me what? Negative 75 m squared n squared. Crossing them out because I have used them. Finally, I have m n cubed. So I have a negative 2m n cubed subtracting 32m n cubed, so that I have negative 34m n cubed. And then finally, I have an n to the fourth power. So I bring that down, and we are officially done.